I need big performance in a small package. Not that small. Yeah, that's perfect. Meet this video's sponsor, the OMEN 35L. I've talked about OMEN for a while. In fact, I even had an OMEN computer and a giant block of ice that I had a chainsaw through. So we go way back. OMEN started off really good and has been improving year over year. I think they're back with probably their best offering. This is the 35L. It is the first mid-size gaming PC tower with OMEN components inside. Before I tell you about everything that it can do, let me tell you what I can do for you. Give you a chance to win $500. Thank you for supporting the channel, supporting me, for generally being awesome all of these years. So leave me a comment down below. Tell me a fact about yourself, a joke, whatever it might be. Just make sure I can contact you either in the comment, leave your social handle, give the video a thumbs up. Let this run for 10 days, open to anyone in the world. All right, so when looking for your next desktop tower, desktop PC, it is clearly all about just power, and then also power. You don't have to worry about how it does when it's unplugged. Can it fit in the backpack? All that stuff goes out the window. Not only that, you're probably looking for power that works great today, but also if you're spending the money, you know, power that'll work well in the future too. So everything that went into the 35L, I think really has that squarely in mind. OMEN is clearly thinking about what they need to run games now, but also what they need to run games in a few years. I think that all starts with the processor. You can spec it and kind of figure it different ways, but it features up to an AMD Ryzen 7, so that's the 8700G processor, and it lives in the AMD Ryzen 8000 series processor family. We tested it with the Ryzen 7 8700G with up to 5.1 gigahertz max boost clock. This series in general, I think, offers what you'd expect from a modern processor, and probably, stop me if you've heard this before, but no surprise, there is AI here, and it is at kind of the forefront of performance with this processor series. And AMD has built in AMD Ryzen AI, which includes a dedicated NPU AI engine for optimized AI processing. You're probably numb from hearing the word AI all the time. It's everywhere. But I'm willing to bet some of the software used every day utilizes AI in some way, even if you just kind of don't realize it. So having those optimizations built in, I think is actually pretty important. But in the real world, what that means, you can get 79% faster AI computer version models, 85% faster AI video editing, and up to 28% faster text and video image prompts. So if you're using AI, you're going to see a huge speed increase, and that is largely thanks to what AMD is built in here. You've got options on the graphics side, either an NVIDIA 4090 or an AMD Radeon RX 7600. Our machine has the RTX 4080 Super. Just as I get to benchmarks in a minute, you can kind of at least have a frame of reference for what our sort of test unit has. Similar to the CPU, the AMD Radeon graphics are also AI optimized to help with performance. So here are the games that I test. This is definitely the best part of my job. I start every computer test with my favorite, Spider-Man. Ran 4K full frame, 60 FPS, ultra high settings with the ray tracing on, as smooth as I'd ever seen. There were no skips or lags. Then we queued up Mafia, similar thing, 4K, 60 FPS, ultra high settings, zero skip or lag, ray tracing was on, all settings on max. This thing was incredibly smooth. Next, we ran Batman Arkham Knights, all settings on max, same thing, everything worked perfectly. We wanted to try maybe a newer game. This is probably one of the best parts of the job, is playing games. So we queued up Forza Horizon 5, and we got 180 FPS at 4K with ultra max settings, which all this is, again, what you'd expect. You can pretty much run any game you want at ultra settings, and you're gonna be absolutely fine. All that power is good for gaming, but things that tend to be good for gaming are also really good for things like 3D rendering and also for editing, which we do a lot of here. So we loaded up DaVinci Resolve, probably got a little nerdier than we should have. I just kind of get excited to test these kind of things. So put in a video clip. We used an intense power grade workflow. We utilized grain, halation, cinecolor processing, and also Resolve Fusion effects and a color space transformer. And we did all of that without having to use a proxy, which if you don't know what any of that means, that's totally fine, but it just shows the same thing we saw with the gaming benchmarks. crazy powerful computer that can do a lot of things. So to do all those things, both the CPU and the GPU need to work together to bring you performance. And I think AMD and OMEN really nailed that here. And in a computer that's not a huge tower, right? I think the concern is going to be cooling, like how they're going to keep things cool. I think OMEN's been doing a really good job with this for years. But there's a new liquid cooling system here. You can get up to 240 millimeter liquid cooling, and it's all built into the design that maximizes airflow. There are also two bigger but way quieter fans, both 140 millimeters, and it leads to 10 to 14% thermal improvements over the last generation. When running the benchmarks, it was insanely quiet. In fact, you couldn't even hear the computer was on, and that is certainly atypical for PCs. It ran very quietly. Performance is one thing with this tower. It's going to be probably sitting out all the time. I think it needs to look the part too. And OMEN made sure that only is it designed well, but it can kind of grow with you as time goes on. So the case comes in the black or white options and is built with sort of an industry standard form factor. So that means like in the future, if the OMEN components maybe go out of date or you just want to upgrade, you're not going to have to search kind of far and wide to find a component that fits. To be able to choose from industry standard components, this gives you, at least I think, an extra layer of peace to know your investment's going to last. The computer that we have spec'd out here comes at just under $2,900. That is a lot of money for a computer. And if you're spending $3,000 or so, you want to make sure that it's going to scale with you. I think what OMEN has done has given you that kind of peace of mind. That does not mean no designs can take a hit. This has toolless access, which I think is great. It also has LEDs built in to give you kind of that RGB look if you want. All this can be controlled in the OMEN Gaming Hub software. And if you've got the LCD cap option, there are animations that can show you there too. So overall, there are 4 different configurations you can choose from. I think with that kind of great design in mind, and maybe slightly overlooked with PC cases, is going to be like cable management. OMEN sort of built a better cable management system inside, so everything looks neat and tidy. And you're probably expecting that with the system that you're buying and not building, but I promise you a lot of these systems from big manufacturers, you look inside of a tower and the cables are a mess. And all those cables are going to run up to a 1,000-watt modular power supply with an external power switch. There are a lot of computer options out there. There are a lot of laptops, there are a lot of towers, there are a lot of ways you can build a computer yourself. If you want something that is not going to be giant, but give you the power of a giant tower, give you the flexibility of a giant tower, give you the modular upgradability of a giant tower without sacrificing power, what OMEN has done with the 35L is really awesome. It's a good-looking computer. It can run absolutely everything you want. If you want to game, you want to edit, you want to do 3D rendering, whatever you want to throw at it, it can handle it. If you want to learn more about the 35L or sort of the other really good options that OMEN has, all the links will be down below.